Welcome back. We are on our last night tonight. We are talking tonight all about qualification pathways for our teenagers. And then that's from 7 to 8. And then from just after 8 till 9 o'clock, we will be taking your questions. So please pop your questions in the comments and we will get back to them later. Now, I've got amazing guests with us tonight. We have the lovely Shirley Erwee from Lime Feather Learning. We have Nikki Roys from the Cambridge Group. We have Erin Parkinson as well, and myself. So you've got 4 of us tonight. We've all got different experiences. And before we pop into the qualification pathways, it is my job tonight to say you don't necessarily have to go down the qualification pathway. It's one of those things that your child does not have to get UE qualifications necessarily. You may want them to, you may not need them to. In fact, a lot of career paths don't need that UE qualification. It is not the be all and end all. In New Zealand, we are absolutely blessed to have an alternative pathway to higher education. And don't forget that our universities and polytechnics have open entry from age 20. So tonight, when we are talking about qualification pathways, it is for getting our 17 and 18-year-olds straight into uni after their high school years. Home educated students can enter also via special admissions department without any set qualifications necessarily. Students may need to write an application and provide a portfolio of the work they have achieved over the past few years. This is an option open to us. Some of the universities have their particular entry requirements on their websites. So go have a look. Think about what university or polytechnic that you may want your teenager to go to first. And go see what their admission requirements are. This is an option to us. It is recommended to do this 2 or 3 years prior to it, so you have those years available to work to achieve what your child needs to get in, depending on your situation. Now, there are also a multitude of bridging and foundation courses offered through both universities and polytechnics here in New Zealand. And honestly, education here is absolutely amazing. We can gain credits based, sorry guys, I'll come back. I don't know why my camera keeps doing that. You can get credits, your base credits, your foundational credits, to then be able to get into those higher level courses. It may mean your child has an extra 6, possibly even 18 months of additional study to do those, but it does mean that they are going to gain entry. Gain entry into the courses that they want. But what do you do if your child doesn't want to do high level study? So this was us. I now have my eldest son is now 19. And at about year 9, year 10, we had quite a high academic workload because we were working towards him potentially getting his UE qualifications. And it wasn't working for us. The workload was too high. It interfered with other stuff that he wanted to do. He was hating it. I was hating it. The family was hating it. So we made the decision to not. And that was okay. It was a conscious decision. We knew the pathways that were open to him later. I talked it through with him. He was perfectly aware that he would get to 17, 18 and not be able to walk into any course. He was aware of that. I was aware of that. It was very much a eyes open situation. And he decided that he would rather have 6 to 12 months of additional study at the age 17, 18, doing bridging courses or foundation courses than slog through the next 4 years doing a high level of academic study. We knew there were other pathways open to him, and if he wanted them, he had them there as he got older. Turns out we didn't need them in his situation. He got an apprenticeship for building at about 17. He was just off 18 actually. He was about halfway through the end of his official year 13, and there was a job going in the paper. He saw it, I saw it, and I went, dude, why not? They weren't looking for an apprentice builder, but I said, just write a cover letter, flick your CV, ask. or they can only say no. So that's what we did. And he got the job. He got the job based on who he was. In all honesty, because I've talked to his boss since. His boss is amazing. But he got the job on his character, his work ethic. He was actually known around town because of his volunteer work. We live in a small town. But he was known for the volunteer work he had done previously because he had attended youth group and he attended sports. So his boss happened to know 2 or 3 people that knew Isaac directly. And that was how he got the apprenticeship. Even though he wasn't actually looking for an apprentice, he was looking for a qualified builder, but it worked. So these things are an option, potentially. You just have to be a little bit cheeky sometimes. You have to do your research. You have to know. We don't even have to know where your kid's going, but you have to be that support person for your kid. And that is what tonight is all about. So if your child does need qualifications, how do we do that as home educating mums? Now, first up tonight is the lovely Shirley, and I will add her to stage with me. Welcome, Shirley. Shirley is the CEO, I guess, of Lime Feather Learning, an amazing homeschool mum, and I will hand the stage straight over to her for her presentation. Welcome, Shirley. You've got to unmute yourself, Shirley.
Thanks, Krystel. In the next few minutes, I'm just going to introduce myself and tell you a little bit about me, and we're each going to do that, and then later I'll do a presentation about the GED. So I don't need that presentation now. I thought I'll just first tell you, I'm like everyone else, a homeschooling mum. I've got 6 kids, been homeschooling for over 20 years. And when my eldest daughter was in the mid-high school years, we started looking at the pathways to getting a school leaving certificate. And I discovered the American GED as an amazing solution, which has appealed to her. And subsequently, 3 of my other children have also completed their GED. And what we liked about it is that we were able to end high school with a qualification, with a certificate that's equivalent to year 13 or to the American grade 12 qualification. And when paired with the SAT, which is the American College Entrance Examination, you can get university entrance at all 8 universities in New Zealand if you wish. And of course, most polytechnics and other places that offer diplomas and vocational training of any kind will also accept it. So if your children want to get a job, you have a credential that says that they're not a high school dropout, that they've actually completed their homeschooling high school years. And in my daughter's case, she decided to go and work overseas and au pair in Europe. And she had to have paperwork to prove that she had completed high school. So this certificate served her very well. And we've just found it such a great solution that suits our home educating lifestyle, which is very flexible and, not driven by outside curriculum providers, that I got excited and started telling other people about it. And then in 2016, I was offered the opportunity to market the study program that we now offer to New Zealand homeschoolers through Lime Feather Learning. And I'll explain in how the GED works and what you need to do when I come back in a couple of minutes.
No, Shirley, you can go straight into your presentation. So,
okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll do it right away. Let me just do present. Thanks. So I'm just going to quickly introduce you to my family. We are originally from South Africa, and I run a business offering the same course, Go Prep, in South Africa. And we've always had a very relaxed approach to home education. You can see I've had to cope with multiple ages. Had babies and toddlers for many years of homeschooling. We've done a lot of literature-based learning, and we followed an eclectic approach where, we use some core curricula for, maths, English, science, social studies, but we're very flexible, and we've been able to customize the education to suit our kids' talents and interests, like the one daughter who's arty, and my kids have done practical things at home, just because they're living in the adult world actually with us. So this was when my eldest daughter was about 14, 15, and I started investigating the GED. I took her to a homeschool expo, showed her some of the other options, which we're going to discuss tonight, like Cambridge and doing the government school matric or grade 12 exams. But she chose the GED, and she graduated in 2023 from Massey University in Auckland. And so why would you consider the GED? So I love this cartoon that just shows that we're all different and we all have different talents. And the school system makes everybody climb the same tree or take the same examinations. But as homeschoolers, as I said, we can give our children this customized education, and we can allow them to excel at what they're good at. But society in general wants us to have credentials and paperwork that prove that we've completed our education as a homeschooler or as a public school child. And that's where the GED is an amazing solution. So it's recognized in New Zealand as a year 13 alternative, and we find it very flexible and convenient. And what's great is there are only 4 exams plus the SAT, which would be your 5th exam. And it is widely accepted by the universities, as I said, and also it's an international credential. Sorry, I'm going very fast through these slides because of the time. So as I said, all 8 universities do accept it. I have checked their requirements on their website, and I've also emailed them and got confirmation in writing from their admissions staff that they do accept the GED and SAT combination. Yeah, this just says polytechnics and other places will accept it. And you do need to just check that there are no additional requirements for the specific course that your child may wish to get into. For example, my one daughter was accepted for a degree in visual communication, which is graphic design and that kind of arty stuff. And so in addition to the minimum requirements, which was the GED and SAT, she needed to submit a portfolio of artwork. For other courses, you may need to take additional tests to prove competency in, say, physics and calculus if you want to do engineering. So you do need to just check those requirements in advance. What is on the GED? As I said, only 4 subjects: math, science, social studies, and the English is called Reasoning Through Language Arts. If you enroll with us, we recommend that you study 1 or 2 subjects at a time. The program we offer is online and it is self-paced, which is great because students can then master each lesson and move at their own pace. They don't have to, keep up with a schedule or the timetable set by somebody else. This is just a screenshot of the student dashboard on the learning program. And as a parent, you can log in. And if you look around, you can see in the bottom corner, there's a graph that shows the student's study time. So you can check up and see how many hours they've studied per week or per month. You can see their scores on the bottom left. And the green and blue bars in the top right just show their progression through the study course. So it's easy for you to supervise. You don't have to teach them anything because all the lessons are designed for self-study. There are little tutorials, there are quizzes, and there are tests that you can use to monitor how they've mastered that work. And when they've completed a course, it tells them if they're ready to book their test. So students can go and book a test on a date that suits them when they know that they are ready, and that takes away a lot of exam anxiety. Before you can take the official exam, you also have to take the mock exam, which you do at home on your own device. And you have to pass that, and it tells you again that you are test ready and build your confidence for the real exam. The real exam is done on computer at the test center, which in Auckland is in Auckland at the moment. That is the only test center in New Zealand. So you may need to plan your travel to accommodate that if you're not in Auckland, but it's manageable. You could go and do 2 tests and then 2 months later go again and say do the last 2 tests. For learners who have any kind of learning difficulties that have been officially diagnosed, you can apply for accommodations on the test. There's a special process that you need to go through, and it takes about a month for it all to be approved. But normally students are given extra time. However, the accommodations are granted on a case-by-case basis, depending on the need of the student. So the last thing, obviously, you show up at the center, you take your tests, and you do need to get 100 out of 200 to pass each test. In the States, if you get 165 or higher, you are considered college ready. So I just put that in out of interest. Here in New Zealand, each university has got their requirements published on their website, and I can give you that information at a later stage when you need that kind of detail. After you've passed all 4 tests, they email you a secure digital copy of your diploma and your transcript, which is your report with your scores. And you can also request hard copies to be posted or actually couriered to you. That's just a close-up shot of how the certificate looks. So this is your high school credential. It's your certificate that says you've finished year 13 in essence here in New Zealand. The pricing is up there. That's the latest pricing that I have. So the enrollment is $350 New Zealand dollars. And then the tests are booked on the American website. So the pricing is in US dollars. And you can see what it is there. And I'm just, if time allows, I'll quickly just do the SAT is a college entrance test used widely in the USA. This year it became a digital test. So you need to take your own device to the test center, and it's done on your device on a specific app. It tests reading and writing and mathematics. So it has been shortened a lot. It used to be close to 4 hours. The new SAT prep is free on this app called the Blue Book that you can get on the Play Store or the Apple Store, whichever kind of device you have. And Khan Academy also has the free official SAT prep provided by the College Board, which is the body that offers the SAT tests. It can be written, the exams can be written or taken 6 times a year at those 4 cities listed at the top of this list: Auckland, Christchurch, New Plymouth, and Queenstown. Previously, they were offered in 7 cities, but I'm not involved with the College Board. I'm just providing this information as a courtesy. So I'm not sure if they've just reduced the number of test centers or whether next year they might rotate it to other cities. I can't tell you. We'll have to check in 2025. And the pricing in total is going to be $100 to do the SATs. Oh, and then I think I'll stop here. This was just my daughter that did the GED and SAT. As I said, she traveled overseas and then she studied at Massey. And it was a great solution for her. She did really well. My other daughter has also done it, and a number of other homeschoolers. But I think I'll just pause now, and other people need the time. So let's move on. Thank you very much. I'll answer questions when we have question time.
Thank you, Shirley. Thank you so much. I know it was a very short space of time, but we've got a lot to jam pack in tonight. So I will rock on to the next one. So guys, if you have questions for Shirley, she is sticking around for the 8 to 9 session as well. So please pop your questions up in the chat, and we will answer them shortly. Thank you, Shirley. And I will bring in the lovely Nikki. Nikki, hello again. I've seen you a lot the last few nights. Thank you, and I will let you take the stage. Nikki is going to tell us all about the Cambridge exams, another option open to us here in New Zealand.
Hi. Most people have heard of Cambridge before because there are schools around, or they know people that have taken them. And what's interesting here is that they're actually seen as quite an academic option, which is quite strange because in England, everybody takes them, and they are designed to be taken by students of the whole range. That's the very brightest to the people who are struggling, and they are meant to accommodate everybody. So do not be put off Cambridge if you have a child that hates maths or is struggling with English. It just takes a little bit more careful preparation to know which subjects to take. So the good thing about Cambridge, and I'm not paid by Cambridge, it happened to have worked for my for my children, is you are not locked into anything until you actually pay for the exams themselves, which is you pay about 4 to 5 months before you actually sit them. And for most children, they usually sit what's called the IGCSE at around age 16. So if you sort of think NCA 1 is supposed to be about the equivalent of IGCSE, and it's supposed to be that AS is the next exam that some people take, and that's year 12, and then NCA 3 is supposed to be equivalent to the A level. So there are a choice of subjects and there are a choice of books. The past papers, so when a child has actually decided what they're going to study and they've got the book and they've been through the book and they've practiced, there are hundreds of past papers online that are free, and the mark schemes and the grade threshold, so you can sit and you can mark with your child and know exactly what grade they would have got on that paper, because it was the paper that people did, and it will tell you exactly what grade they would have taken, that would have achieved for that particular paper. There are even examiner reports which tell parents and teachers what the common mistakes were with that paper. And they're a real gift to us, because it's ridiculous things like pencils weren't sharp enough when doing mathematics, and they tried to do a graph and you couldn't read it because the pencil point was actually far too large, and things like that, which actually you can practice doing when they're much younger. There's also, because the Cambridge exams are taken worldwide, there is just so much information out there. There is a syllabus available online from the main Cambridge site, which gives you more information you could possibly want to know about each subject, and exactly what is included and exactly what case studies might be needed. It's very comprehensive. If exams change, they give 2 or 3 years notice for the changes that are about to happen. There is no minimum or maximum age to take any of these exams. There's no minimum or maximum number of subjects you have to take. Having said that, most people normally take at least 5. That seems to be the magic number for IGCSEs. And then later on, it's a smaller number and you specialise for AS or A level. Another fantastic thing is you do not have to have taken these IGCSEs in order to be able to take your AS or A levels. So normally teachers like me would advise that you do, because it's just great practice. Those IGCSEs teach the children such a lot about how to revise and what level of work they need to produce to get what grade. But if you want to, you could just go straight in at A level, do that, and that's pretty much your UE done. Okay, a little bit more complicated than that. I'll talk about that in a second. Advantages to Cambridge. Okay, you can do really exciting subjects. So if your child is at school or whatever and they are bored of, I don't know, social studies, but they like certain bits of it, they can specialise. So they could do psychology IGCSE. That is not an NCEA option for NCA 1. Okay, that only comes later. They could do sociology. So if they're very politically active, which a lot of our youngsters are, sociology is a great option. Okay, it sort of leads into politics and economics. It's sort of in that space, and feminism, environmental management, travel and tourism, marine science. Oh, imagine doing marine science here. Some of those subjects are simply not offered at NCA 1. Another advantage is there is no coursework. Okay, so it's all done by exam. Having said that, there is a great disadvantage, which is there is no coursework. It means that if you're having a bad day for your exams, it's all to do with that day. You have to mitigate for things like that. You can't take music or art or dance or anything with coursework. Having said that, the last time I counted, I think there are about 25 or 28 subjects which you can take and choose from. Another disadvantage is you have to find a host school. So if you go on the Cambridge group, I've written down on there at the top which schools will allow what we private candidates, which is what we're called, to go and sit exams at their school. And usually they tend to be the private schools, which the whole experience is very nice. You do pay, again, I'm just trying to remember, I think it was $300 per subject. But prior to that, you don't get locked in. You don't have to tell Cambridge that you're going to do that. You are just paying the money when you take the exam. Getting UE with Cambridge. You have to do the literacy requirement and the numeracy requirement. Okay, that's the first part. Now, the IGCSE maths, grade D or higher, that's D for dog, or higher, that will tick the box for maths for numeracy, okay, for UE. For the English, the literacy requirement, the student at this age needs to do English at AS or A level and get any grade. And then they need to have got points for their other AS and A levels. Pretty much what it works out to be is do IGCSE maths and get a grade D, take English at AS and pass, and then that will give you some points, and you have to make up the other points with other subjects, and you have to get 120 if you want entry, or if you want preferential entry for maybe engineering at UC, it's 140 points, but it's very achievable. Okay, very, very achievable. They do not all have to be taken at the same time, but each university varies slightly. So it's always worthwhile when you've got your IGCSEs approaching the universities themselves and going, this is the course we're thinking of. These are the subjects at A level we're thinking of taking. And is there anything else that we need to do? Okay, because certainly my daughter wants to go to Vic, and they were not happy with sociology as an A level. Otago was fine, UC was fine, but not Vic. So she swapped to doing psychology instead, which was always up there anyway, as something that she really loves. So go on the individual university website, contact them. They're always happy to look and talk to prospective students. But UE is as simple as IGCSE maths. Make sure you take English at AS or A level, and then a few other subjects to fill up those points. IGCSE is the most, I won't say prestigious, the most widely taken exam around the world for international exams for 14 to 16-year-olds. Okay, so everybody knows about Cambridge. The A levels are seen as prestigious here, including by the universities. They're robust. They're currently not online, and they're going to trial online things, but they're worried about cheating because cheating is quite prolific in certain exams, in certain types of exams. So there are a number of things you have to do, for example, photo ID, to make sure that it is you sitting that exam. There are exciting options. You can get scholarships as well, and there are also prestigious things like top of the whole world for things, or top of the country, and they carry prestige and money prizes as well. It's a great option, but if you don't think your child is academically able to do it, talk to somebody or jump on the group and go, what should I be doing? Because there are certain little tricks that you can do to take subjects which will work far better for some children than others. Right, I've run out of time. Back to you.
Thank you, Nikki. This is a whirlwind tour tonight, like a lot of our talks have been. But thank you. That was awesome. I have been following your group for a while, but that was beautiful and concise, and that taught me a few things as well. So please, guys, we haven't had any questions yet. You guys are a quiet bunch tonight, and I can see there's a few of you watching us live. So please pop your questions up and we will answer them. But I will say bye-bye to Nikki for now. You will be back later. And I will welcome the lovely Erin to the stage. So Erin is going to talk about our NCEA option and Takura as an option tonight. So take us away, Erin. You're muted, Erin.
Like, you would think that after 4 years of teaching online, I would have worked that out.
It's
hi.
easy to forget.
Hi, I'm Erin Parkinson. I teach online and still can't work my mute button sometimes. I forget that I mute because I had noisy teenagers in my background. So, yes, I'm going to tell you guys about NCEA and Takura and doing that as a homeschooler and how that works. I have a slide, so let me put this up here. So, NCEA is the New Zealand National Certificate of Educational Achievement. It is what replaced School C and Bursary and Sixth Form Certificate for those of you that grew up here and used those ones. And it has gone through many changes and is still going through changes. If you've seen the news, this new change that's happened this year for level 1, teachers, parents, the Ministry of Education is not happy with it, so it's going to go through more changes again, guaranteed. That's what happens. So, what is it? It's got 3 levels, level 1, level 2, level 3. And generally, you do those in year 11, year 12, and year 13, the last 3 years of school. For homeschoolers, that does not mean you have to do it in those years, though. Secondly, many schools have dropped level 1. So they teach at year 11 level for form level the same way that they've been teaching in year 9 and 10. They teach the work. They might have school tests and assessments, but they don't put them through all the assessment rigmarole and the exams of doing level 1. And for my daughter's school, for example, when they announced several years ago that they were dropping level 1, they said that gave them 10 extra teaching days a year. So 10 more days in a year was saved from not doing all this assessment, which is huge. That's an enormous amount of teaching time. So they dropped to level 1. It simply meant that the kids went straight into doing level 2 and then level 3. You will find that lower decile schools on average tend to do level 1 more than the higher decile schools, and that is because if kids are dropping out at the age of 16 or at some points sort of between 16 and 17, you want them to have a qualification. So if level 1's the only qualification that they might achieve because of the age they're dropping out, then you, as a school, you're not going to want to drop level 1 so that they're leaving with no qualification. So the higher decile schools that have more students, the majority of students will not drop out until after level 2 or 3, often feel like they can drop it. And some of them have their own certificate that they're offering. Others just treat it like a year 9 and 10 year. Okay. Within level 1, 2, and 3, you have credits. So you've got your subjects that you do, and every subject offers credits. And those credits could be worth between sort of 3 and 6. It might be, a standard might be worth around 3 to 6 credits. Sometimes it's worth 2, generally not more. And you can achieve them with excellence, with merit, just with an achieved, or you fail it. So let's take, for example, a history standard. I'll just go back to this example that was here before. Just down the bottom, a history standard might be carry out an investigation into a historical event of significance to New Zealanders. And this could be worth 4 credits. If you pass it, you get 4 credits. If you pass it really well and you get an excellence, you still get 4 credits, but it is with excellence. And that will matter later on. And it's a way of acknowledging, hey, you did a really good job versus, yeah, you barely passed. If you fail, you get 0 credits. There's no, you get 2 of these 4 or you get 3 of these 4. Okay, it's 0 or 4. If that standard, for example, is worth 4. And there are also something called unit standards. So unit standards are not approved for university entrance, which will matter if you are at level 2 or 3. And these are usually more vocational type subjects. So, for example, doing a formal interview with somebody, that will be worth 2 unit standards. It's pass or fail. There's no, well, you did an okay job, so, it's just pass or fail. And these are the kind of standards that you will achieve even if you're not doing NCEA at school. If you go and do, say, a mechanics apprenticeship, then what you do in that apprenticeship is standards, and you will be given credits for that. Okay. You need to have 60 credits at level 1, plus the literacy and numeracy co-requisites, which I'm about to talk about. That's another 20. So you need 80 credits in total at level 1, but 20 of them have to be from literacy and numeracy in a particular test. Level 2 and level 3, you also only need 60 plus 20 from the level below. So if you're going straight into level 2, you need 80, but 20 of them you could just do at level 1. Hopefully that makes sense. Basically, 20 credits at any level plus, the level below or any level below, and another 60 at your level. And like I said, you don't have to have done level 2 to do level 3. You don't need to have done level 1 to do level 2. It will be difficult, and I'll tell you why if you started straight in at level 3, though. This is what it would look like. So, for example, in English, there are lots of different standards that you can do. If you were in a school teacher would normally be offering anywhere between sort of 18 to 22 sort of credits in total. So that might be, 6, 7, 8 different modules, standards. And it says internal and external there. So you can see some of these are internals. Construct and deliver a crafted and controlled oral text, so a speech, worth 3 credits. Down below are the unit standards. Be assertive in a range of specified situations. That's more of a drama English one, and that's worth 4. It's quite a lot of work involved, actually, for that one. These are the externals. So when you do an external English exam at NCEA, there's usually 3 standards. You get 3 hours. You don't have to do all 3 standards. So you can walk in, many students have just walked into their NCEA English exams, level 1, 2, and 3, and they've chosen to do 1 of the standards or 2 of the standards, but they still had the full 3 hours. And they will have done that because they already had enough credits from internals to allow them to only get 8 credits or 4 credits from an exam, rather than trying to complete all 3 standards within 3 hours. So it gives them a bit of extra time. But again, some students will do all 3 because they want 12 credits. The new level 1 achievement standards. So this is brand new. The only people who really understand... No, let me take that back. I would hazard a guess that there's nobody that really fully understands this, including the teachers. But the people who have the most knowledge about this are only this year's students and teachers, because it's brand new. And I'm on a lot of Facebook groups for New Zealand teachers. And they are frustrated with these two because they came in so quickly with so little information. But as of this year, everybody does just 4 standards in any subject at level 1. 2 are internal and 2 are external. They're worth 5 credits each, so a total of 20 credits. So it's just 4 modules per subject instead of what I showed you before, all those different options for English, where you could actually pick and choose the ones that suited you. That was the really good thing about NCEA, is that a student or teacher could look at these different modules, these standards, and go, if I've got a child that really doesn't like, speaking and speech, we're not going to do that. We're going to do crafted and controlled writing, and we're going to do analysing significant connections, and then we're going to do form-developed responses, and we're going to do 1 exam. We're just going to do the unfamiliar text. And that really suits my student. And as homeschoolers, that was something you could choose with Chikura as well. if the new system rolls through into level 2 and 3, they're all going to reduce back down. So I'm not sure why, because that was the good thing about NCEA. So many schools, as I said, aren't doing level 1, so they don't have to worry about this. There is also, however, this new CAA, these literacy and numeracy co-requisites. And all learners doing level 1, 2, or 3 need to have their CAA. So you can sit it at any point. You can sit it in year 10, you can sit it in year 13. Most schools are doing it in year 10 and 11, and it's 20 credits of literacy and numeracy. You can resit it and resit it until you've got it. It's a lot heavier on the grammar for the literacy, because grammar hasn't been something that's been a big focus, and it's been an issue with English. And yeah, there's a transition period at the moment. This is also brand new, so it's definitely going through a teething phase. NCEA recognises high levels of achievement. So if you achieve a large number of excellences or a large number of merits across all of your subjects, you can get a certificate endorsement. Or if you're just in one subject, if you're doing really, really well in mathematics and you get all excellences, then, or mostly excellences, you can get a course endorsement. This is just kind of a bonus and an extra boost to the student's confidence at level 1 and 2, but it really does matter. If they're doing exceedingly well in level 2, it will matter because they could get early entry into university. And it matters for your rank score if you are wanting to go to university and you're adding up your credits, because an excellence credit at level 3 is worth more than an achieved credit at level 3 when trying to get into a harder course like engineering or medicine, pre-med and stuff like that at the universities. So university entrance. If you are trying to get into university before the age of 20 and you need UE, you need to have 3 subjects at level 3 of at least 14 credits in those subjects, and they need to be approved subjects. So yes, you can get a unit standard in being able to back up a trailer, but that won't help you if you're trying to get into university. Those credits might be great if you're trying to get a job in a vocational job, but they're not going to get you into university. So you need approved subjects are the what you would think would be approved. Physics, biology, English, social studies, history, accounting, all of those ones. And there's a big list. You'll find them all over if you just type in university entrance, approved subjects. You also have to have UE literacy. So that's 10 credits at level 2 or above, 5 in reading, 5 in writing. So you need to do some English, or English heavy subjects sometimes will have a UE approval. So, if you've done a history requirement at level 2 that had essay writing, it will usually count for your literacy credits. And numeracy, you need to have 10 credits at level 1 or above. So for those of you that want to go to university but really struggle with maths, you only need to have done some level 1 maths, not carry on through level 2. Like Krystel said, there are other ways to get into university as well, into tertiary courses. That's not my talk, though. Now, the biggie. You cannot, as a homeschooler, complete level 1, 2, or 3 in New Zealand any longer without signing up to Te Kura, which used to be called the Correspondence School. It is our largest state school. It is all online. And once you are fully enrolled, you are not officially a homeschooler. Yep, your kid's doing school at home. They're doing it under the guidance of teachers, kaiako, and you are their supervisor. It's all online, so that is something to take into consideration if you've got a child that is going to, every time you leave the room, start gaming. This is not probably a system that's going to work for you, unless you want to sit there and keep an eye on that. If you enroll in Te Kura before the age of 16, it will cost you around $1,800 per subject, unless you have special entrance for mental health reasons, distance reasons, all of that. It was originally set up for kids who live in a lighthouse or simply live more than, say, 15 kilometres. I can't remember the exact amount, from a school. From 16 onwards, it is free for all New Zealanders from 16 to 19. Okay, and If you do sign up to Takura, yep, you've got to jump through a few hoops in terms of you've got to do this workbook, you've got to do this work, then you can do the qualification, like do the assessment, send it back in, get it assessed, get your credits. The reason you have to do Takura to get level 1, 2, or 3 now is because you cannot get all of those credits just by doing your external exams. Because as homeschoolers, we can go ask a school that's offering them, your local school, can we sit the external, please, on the same day that everyone's sitting it? You sign up with NZQA to sit the external, to rock up at the school and do it as a homeschooler. That's great for exam practice. It's great to get some credits, but you need to have those internals. You need to have them now at level 1, and you need to have them for the full complement of what you need for university entrance. So essentially, at some point, if you want a full qualification, you are going to have to sign up to Takura. Basics about Takura, like I said, it's online. It's an online portal. If you don't ask for help, you probably won't receive it because the teachers are overworked and have a lot of students, and many of them are problem students. If you do ask for help, just like at a school, you're going to have excellent teachers on there and you're going to have some rubbish teachers on there. So as a parent, you probably want to step in and say, look, can we change teachers? It's not online classes. There will be some offered, but it's generally work on your own, self-motivated, working off the computer, reading what's there, filling in the workbook, watching the occasional video, but very, very little online teaching sort of thing. I think I'm done. I think that should be the basics. I know there will be questions because Takura is a difficult thing to get your head around in NCA, but there we go.
Thank you, Erin. There is actually a lot. I didn't realize it was quite so complicated. So,
and honestly, that was just some of it. There's a lot more.
Yeah. All right. We do actually have a relevant question to this, so we might as well tackle this now. There you go. Have there been any
homeschool children sit CAAs yet? I would say with Takura, absolutely. Outside of Takura, I haven't heard of any, but that does not mean they don't exist. Yeah, so there we go. Just be aware, there's two things about the CAAs. They're going through a transition period. So right now, if you have students who have started NCA, you probably don't need to be told this, but if they were already on their way, they're already sort of 15, 16, 17, they don't need to do the CAA technically because there are some other credits. There are some literacy and numeracy ones that can be subbed in for the next 2 years, just in this transition period. For everyone else, we'll have to do CAA unless they decide to drop it. I suspect they won't. And you can do it at any point. So you could do your CAA requirements when they're at level 2 or level 3. They don't have to be done before you get to level 2. For example, at Epsom Girls, everyone's done them this year. So I think the year 13s have done them, the year 12s have done them, everyone just sat them, including the year 10s. Because if you fail, you can have another go at it. And it gave the school a good idea as to where they were, where there were gaps too.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, we might as well take that one down. So that is the only relevant question for Takura. We have had a few questions.
Sorry, Krystel. If you just noticed, Carissa has answered that yes, and the results did come through today. I noticed Carissa, yes. But she was answering Yolanda that yes, there have been some homeschool children that have sat the CAAs. Carissa is also an English teacher, so she's got a good lead.
I see. Thank you. We appreciate help answering questions in there. It is really lovely. Well, if there are no relevant questions right now, we might as well break early. I guess we can break for a cup of tea a little bit early and come back in 10-15 minutes or so. We've collected some questions from the Facebook groups and things like that. So there will be Nikki and Shirley and Erin and me all answering the questions that have been given to us and just having a good old yarn and chat about different things. Here we go. We've got one. Do you want to answer that one? Do you want me to bring Nikki on and answer that one?
I think Nikki needs to do that.
Yeah. Most schools will allow you to sit exams. All of the Cambridge schools will allow you to sit exams in October and November, and some of the Cambridge schools will allow you to sit in the May-June session. So for the May-June session, I will be talking to the school in January and paying in, I think it's late February for that one. And for the October-November, I contact the school in about April time and pay mid-June. And exams start around the 1st of October. So it's about, 3.5 months before taking the exam.
Okay. I will bring Shirley up on stage to do this one. Hey, Shirley. Oh, you need to unmute, please.
I'm unmuting. I just realized in time. So the question about what to do before the GED is a common one. And actually the answer is what I love about it. You can do whatever you're happy and comfortable doing with your children up until age 16, 17, as long as, of course, it makes sense that you're covering the subjects that the GED is going to test, being maths, science, English, and social studies. So whatever curriculum you're happy on, carry on with that. And if you're not sure what to use, the ones that Krystel sells at her business, Engaging Minds, are some of the best ones that I've used. And I love them, and I always recommend them. And she doesn't pay me to say that. So, there are great resources that you can use in New Zealand, and any of them will do. And then when you feel your child is ready to tackle the GED or any other option that you may choose, it's normally when they reach about year 11 level in their ability in maths and English, I would say, are the most two important subjects. Then you can have a conversation with your child and you can decide which route is going to suit them, their motivation, their career goals, their other activities that they're involved in, how much time they want to spend studying. And, for us, the GED just gave us that freedom to continue using these programs that we loved. And we liked the idea that we could sit each exam when the student felt ready for that subject. There was no, with Cambridge and I think with Takura and the NCEA, the exam dates are set by the examining board or the exam body. Whereas with the GED, they can be taken year round at the test center, and you can pick the date and the appointment time that would suit you. So we love that flexibility. And I think for children with neurodiverse, issues, that flexibility is important because they can sit the exam when they know that they're ready, and it's less pressure for those kind of students, and they are able to do it. I have testimonies from parents and tutors of those kind of students who've said that it was a great solution for them. If anybody else wants to add about how to approach the other options, we can also discuss that.
I will go next. For NCEA, there are accommodations for neurodiversity. There's certainly accommodations for dyslexia. They do require you to put in a bit of work, in my opinion. So you would need a formal diagnosis, and Takura, or there's others who will tell you about that, but you can get a reader-writer. Now that's useful. That's really useful if you've got a child that is very, very slow with writing, but that does mean that you need to work with them so that they can verbalize what they want the writer to write. If they haven't practiced doing that, you're putting them at a disadvantage because that's not a normal skill that you would often do. It might be how you've done homeschooling, in which case that's great, but a writer has got really strict conditions as opposed to mum or dad helping them write something out. So, there are accommodations for that. And of course, the externals, yes, the externals are on a particular day. You go do your exam on that day and that's that. But the internals you can do in any order. You could take as long as you need to do any of those internals and throughout the year. So that works really, really well. Being able to pick and choose the ones that suit works really, really well. And I very much hope NCEA does not take that strength of the system away, because it was set up to allow for that, to allow for, hey, this kid has passed English, but they didn't have to do a speech. These ones passed English, they did speech and drama and then one bit of writing, and these ones focused on writing. You know, like that was the strength of this resource, this achievement system. So we'll see how it changes. But at the moment, it is more flexible at level 2 and 3. And like I said, they're still working out the level 1.
Anything you need to add, Nikki, from a Cambridge point of view?
No, pretty much the same. There are accommodations that can be made. You need the right paperwork. You'll need to work closely with the school and make sure that they can accommodate the accommodations that you need. So you will need to have the paperwork in place, and not everything can be accommodated. It really is a sort of team effort between the school, the parent, and what Cambridge will be happy with.
Krystel, I'm going to do a little bit of, this is a reminder for you for some things that you needed to add. But also, so I do just want to stress these are academic pathways. These are 3 examples of secondary pathways to get a qualification that you might want just to have that certificate, to have that qualification, and usually because you're wanting to get into a tertiary course. There are other ways to get into tertiary courses. There are certainly much easier ways to get into courses that aren't like university level, but maybe at polytech level. And again, like Krystel had said, you've got foundation and bridging courses, STAR courses, entry at 20, which usually involve one of those. But there's all those things that are there if you don't want to be, if you're okay with not getting that piece of paper at 17, 18. If they go and work for a year, or they travel, or they go into an apprenticeship, if they do all of these things. Most apprenticeships will say they need level 2. And both Krystel and I have 2 sons who have, that's right, Krystel, done an apprenticeship, right? Doing one?
Yep.
We've both got sons who are doing apprenticeships who did not have level 2. They rocked up and they were accepted on their work ethic, their ability to speak, their, the obviousness that they had the smarts and the work ethic to work and didn't need the piece of paper to say, yeah, they can write an English essay on this book, and they, my son now has level 2, and Krystel's will as well, because he had those unit standards completed, which gave him the credits at level 2 and some at level 3 and some at level 4 within like 3-6 months of doing his apprenticeship, which that's great. That he does not care at all that he has some level 4, because it's meaningless to him, because really they are, in a way. They're so important, but they're also in some ways a little meaningless. Once they've got a job or they're doing what they love, does it really matter if they got some points for it? Krystel, you have still one more to do.
I did, and I apologise to everyone I forgot. So there is one other option that is available, another option available to New Zealand, and that is through Homeschooling New Zealand, which is a Christian organisation. So they offer 2 certificates that are accepted by our New Zealand tertiary organisations as an equivalent to either a school leaver certificate or UE university entrance. So there is the CENZ certificate of academic achievement, and that is essentially school leaver certificate, and it basically just gives you a transcript of your academic achievements. If you are looking to go to university at 17, 18, and you want that additional certificate, they do have the level 3 CENZ certificate, and that gives you the equivalent of university entrance. So this is done, the achievements are based around a core set of Christian curriculum, which, for example, using ACE, LifePack, Alpha Omega, and there are other options as well. The credits are also available using a wide range of interest-based courses. So there is some flexibility there, but it is definitely a Christian organisation, and the core subjects are you will be needing to use a specific set of Christian curriculum. So if anyone is interested in that pathway, contact Homeschooling New Zealand for more information on that one. And we better break for a cuppa and stay on schedule. Oh, Erin wants to answer this one first.
Sorry, there was just
Erin.
there was just one more question for Shirley, but it's very fast to answer.
So the 4 subjects are accepted as your high school credential. And then the SAT is the test that's used in the States to kind of separate the sheep from the goats, you know, the university material students and those that are not so suited for university. And the rule of thumb globally is that universities around the world will accept the credential that is generally accepted by universities in the home country. So because in the USA, the GED plus prescribed score on the SAT, it's not just any old score, is accepted there, it is generally accepted by universities around the world. And, you know, I always say to parents, the GED is not what prepares your child for life and at university. It's the whole homeschool career that you've built into them from, you know, kindergarten up until their final years that equips them to be self-motivated students, to know their strengths, to, you know, have that ability to choose to go to university. And it's not the GED that's preparing them for university. The GED is just the hoop you jump through to get the piece of paper that shows the officials, I have finished home education. And it only tests what it tests. It tests those 4 subjects. And all of us are so much more than maths, English, science, and social studies. And I was just going to add earlier when you were talking about the students getting these apprenticeships, it's a child's ability to self-advocate and their self-confidence and the ability to recognize their strengths and pursue that thing that they're good at while working around their weaknesses that I think sets us our homeschool children apart from school children who, in contrast, are generally hammered on their weaknesses to bring those things up to standard. And they never discover what they're good at in the school system, or they seldom do. And we have that privilege of finding the potential in each child and majoring on that and helping them to develop that. And when they go into those things that they want to do, it's that self-confidence that I can do this that I think helps them to be so successful and that impresses the people who employ them or, you know, interact with them. So on that note, I think we due for our break. Erin.
I was just going to say, I highly recommend if you're wanting your child to go into tertiary, or if it's a possibility, if it's a likelihood, look at the ones that they're likely to go to. Every single university and polytech has their requirements on their website. And you can, if you don't want to look at all of them, if you pick Auckland or Canterbury, they've got the most stringent requirements if you just want to go for the top ones. But, you know, if you don't need to look at everything, because if you live in Hamilton, unless your child definitely wants to go to Otago and freeze, you don't need to look at Otago, you know. If they like snow, maybe they do. I don't know. But yeah, usually there's only 1 or 2 that you'll be looking at. So look at their requirements and it will tell you what they need. And I would just say, nobody's testing. No one's ticking a box as to whether they can cook a meal for themselves and do their own washing. But if they're moving out of home, that's really, really important. So yeah.
All right, we can talk about this at length.
We will finish.
After the break. So we are going to go have a stretch, I imagine, and a cup of tea. So guys, we're going to have a shorter break this time because we have gone over time. So 10-minute cup of break this time, and we will see you back in, about 8:15. Thank you, ladies. I will see you shortly.